Hi guys, so today we're going to cover the quadratic formula. Now, you guys are going to sing the quadratic formula and you will never ever forget this. So here we go, 9-6, the quadratic formula and the discriminant. Okay, so the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Cool thing about quadratic equation formula, it works for every single quadratic equation out there. Okay, so factoring only works sometimes. When we did completing the square, we learned that that worked for every single one. Okay, quadratic formula is another method that will work for every single quadratic equation. Okay, so I'll make sure you have that video posted on Google Classroom, so please watch that video and learn this song. Right, so let's see how the quadratic formula works. Okay, remember the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so we're going to work with x squared minus 7 equals 4x. To do this, we need to write the equation in standard form and identify what a, b, and c are. Okay, obviously, this is not in standard form. We got to make it equal 0, so subtract 4x from both sides. And I'm going to rewrite it so that it's x squared minus 4x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, we want it ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, a is the number in front of your x squared. Okay, remember ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so a is just 1. B is your number in front of the plain old x. So b is negative 4. Okay, and c is our constant on the end. So c is equal to negative 7. From here, it is literally just plug and chug. Okay, so x equals negative b. Okay, b is negative 4, so negative 4 makes it a positive 4, plus or minus. Okay, b squared, so I'm going to put negative 4 squared in there, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. And from here, it's just a matter of cleaning it up. Okay, so x equals, can't do anything here, so 4 plus or minus. Oh, negative 4 squared, well, that's just 16. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 7 gives me a positive 28, and it's all over 2. Okay, keep cleaning. X equals 4 plus or minus 16 plus 28 gives me 44, all over 2. Okay, now for the 2021 school year, we did skip how to simplify radicals, so we are going to stop right here. When we come back to chapter 3 after the end of course exam, we will talk about how to break that down even further. Okay, but right now, that is our final answer. Okay, your turn. Pause the video and try letter A, please. Okay, again, you rewrite it. So I'm going to subtract the x squared. Okay, so all I did there was substitute. So now we're going to clean it up. Negative 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times negative 1 is a positive 4 times 21 gives us 84. +16 plus 84 gives me 100. Oh, wait a minute. We know the square root of 100. So x equals 4 plus or minus 10 all over 2. Okay, this splits into two problems. 4 plus 10 divided by 2 and 4 minus 10 divided by 2. Well, 4 plus 10 is 14 over 2 gives me a final answer of 7. 4 minus 10 is negative 6 over 2 gives me a final answer of negative 3. So x equals 7, x equals negative 3. Pause the video, try letter B. Okay, first thing again, you should always rewrite. Okay, and then it's probably a good idea to write down what A, B, and C are. And now we can plug and chug. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. X equals 2 plus or minus negative 2 squared is 4. Let's see, 4 times negative 24 is a positive 96 all over 2. Oh, look at that. Again, we're going to get the square root of 100. Okay, square root of 100 is just 10. Okay, and split it into two problems. X equals 2 plus 10 over 2. X equals 2 minus 10 over 2. 2 plus 10 gives me 12 over 2, which gives me 6. 2 minus 10 is a negative 8 over 2. This equals a negative 4. So x equals 6, x equals negative 4. Okay, we can use the quadratic formula now to solve word problems. Okay, so let's take a look at this. The function shown represents the height of a frog x seconds after it jumps off a rock. How many seconds is the frog in the air before it lands on the ground? Well, remember, this models the path of the frog. Okay, so he's jumping, 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 jumping. Oh, it's starting to come back down, and boom, he hits the ground. Okay, so we need to figure out what this 0 is to see when he hits the ground. So instead of saying y equals, we change this to 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 10t plus 0.75. Okay, from here, all you got to do is quadratic formula. A equals negative 16, b equals 10, c equals 0.75. Okay, so time to plug and chug. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. Okay, so calculator work, okay, make it pretty. So x equals negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 100. Negative 4 times negative 16 times 0.75 gives me 48. So it's a negative times a negative is a positive 48 over negative 32. Okay, keep going. X equals negative 10 plus or minus 100 plus 48 is 148. Okay, so from here we can go ahead and make our two answers. Negative 10 plus the square root of 148 all over negative 32, and negative 10 minus the square root of 148 all over negative 32. Because we're talking about time here, we actually want a decimal. So in my calculator, I'm typing negative 10 plus the square root of 148, I'm hitting enter, and then I'm going to divide by negative 32. I get x equals negative 0.068. Okay, then I do it down here. I'm going to do negative 10 minus the square root of 148, hit enter, divide by negative 32. X equals 0.693. Okay, now we're talking about time. Can time be negative? No, it cannot. So we're going to throw this answer out, and we say the frog is in the air for about 0.7 of a second. Okay, so it's a quick little jump. Okay, your turn. Please pause the video and try this problem. Okay, so again, we make it 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 10t plus 0.3. Again, remember, y is our height, so we want a height of 0 because that's when I'm on the ground. Okay, a equals negative 16, b is 10, c is 0.3. And now it's just plug and chug. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, calculator work, let's clean it up. X equals negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 100. Negative 4 times negative 16 times 0.3 is equal to 19.2 all over negative 32. Okay, one more step here to clean it up, and then we're just going to answer it. x equals negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 119.2 all over negative 32. Okay, two answers. X equals negative 10 plus the square root of 119.2 all over negative 32. And x equals negative 10 minus the square root of 119.2 all over negative 32. Okay, again, in my calculator, I'm doing negative 10 plus the square root of 119.2. Hit and enter, dividing by negative 32. X equals negative 0.03. Okay, and then negative 10 minus the square root of 119.2. Hit enter, divided by negative 32. X equals 0.65. Again, time can't be negative, so the frog is in the air for 0.65 of a second. Right, so that leads us then to the discriminant. So how can we determine the number of solutions of a quadratic equation without solving it? Okay, sometimes it's helpful to know, do I have 2 real solutions? Do I have 1 real solution? Do I have 0 real solutions? Okay, so think about it as how many times do I cross the x-axis? Do I cross it twice? Do I hit it just once? Or do I never touch it at all? Well, inside the quadratic formula, we have something called the discriminant. Okay, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Notice it's just the stuff underneath the square root. The discriminant tells us the number of solutions, or of real solutions of the equation, okay? So remember, we called these solutions the zeros, the x-intercepts. Here's another word for it, okay? The solutions of a quadratic equation are also called the roots. Roots are the input values for which the related function is 0. So we have 3 cases we look at. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, there are 2 real solutions. Basically, this says if the discriminant is positive, then we have 2 real solutions. The quadratic will cross the x-axis twice. If our discriminant equals 0, there's only 1 real solution. Okay, so that's where the vertex is on the x-axis. And if the discriminant is negative, okay, it's less than 0, that means there are no real solutions. So it will never touch the x-axis. So let's find the number of solutions for x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. And remember, the discriminant is just the stuff underneath the square root, so b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so it's always helpful to know what a, b, and c are. A here is 1, b is negative 4, c is 3. So let's just throw everything in. The discriminant is equal to b squared minus 4 times a times c. Okay, so 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times 1 times 3 is 12. This equals 4. Our discriminant is positive, so therefore there are 2 real solutions. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, write down what a, b, and c are. A is negative 1, b is 4, c is negative 4. And we're going to do b squared minus 4 times a times c. 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times negative 1 is a positive 4 times a negative 4 is a negative 16. Discriminant is equal to 0. Therefore, there is 1 real solution. And 1 more to go. Okay, again, a is 1, b is negative 4, c is 5. So b squared minus 4ac. Okay, b squared, so negative 4 squared. Again, be careful, put it in parentheses. Minus 4 times 1 times 5. Negative times a negative is a positive. Negative 4 times 1, negative 4 times 5 is a negative 20. 16 minus 20 is a negative 4. This is negative. Therefore, there are 0 real solutions. Okay, so that's kind of work I would expect to see. All right, pause the video. You're going to try these 2 problems. Okay, remember the discriminant is just b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so here a is 1, b is negative 10, c is 25. Okay, so the discriminant is equal to b squared minus 4 times a times c. Negative 10 squared is a positive 100. Negative 4 times 25 is 100. So D equals 0. Therefore, there is one real solution. Pause the video and try letter B, please. Okay, discriminant is equal to B squared minus 4 times A times C. Negative times a negative times a negative is a negative 40. Therefore, there are no real solutions. Okay, and that's the quadratic formula. Okay, listen to that song. You never want to forget the quadratic formula. Homework tonight, you're on page 394. You're going to do problems 15, 16, 19 through 37, odd, and 40. Okay, please come prepared with questions. See you guys later.